Soldiers describe terrifying things in German forests. The first scream came out of the trees. It wasn't an animal cry or the sharp whistle of the wind weaving through the pines. It was human, raw, ragged, and filled with a fear that didn't belong on any military radio. Look, Sergeant Caleb Monroe froze where he stood, boots sinking slightly in the damp earth of the black forest. The fog rolled low, drifting between the trunks like pale ghosts, and the rest of his squad instinctively raised their rifles. No one breathed. The scream echoed once more and then died, swallowed by the forest. Caleb whispered, "That wasn't one of ours, was it?" Private Jonas Schäfer, the local German soldier assigned to guide their international training unit, shook his head slowly. "I know these woods," he murmured. "But I've never heard anything like that." And just like that, the forest felt alive, watching, listening, waiting. Their mission was simple on paper: 2-day navigation training through dense terrain. But soldiers from many countries had quietly agreed on one thing for decades: German forests had stories. Old legends, unexplained disappearances, eerie sounds that patrols refused to speak of afterward. Every forest had history, but the Black Forest carried its own heartbeat. That night would prove it. Caleb had always believed fear was something you controlled with training and discipline. But dense German fog had a way of unmaking even the strongest convictions. The air was moist and cool, the smell of wet soil thick enough to taste. Leaves rustled, though there was no breeze. More than once, the squad turned abruptly, thinking someone walked just behind them, yet no one was there. When the sun dipped low, Jonas recommended they set camp. "Night comes fast here," he warned. "And the forest changes." They gathered around a small fire as darkness swallowed the last bit of sky. The crackling flames gave them a fragile sense of safety. Corporal Diana Wells broke the silence first. "So," she said, stirring her cup of instant coffee, "what's the scariest thing you've actually seen out here, Jonas?" He hesitated. "I don't like telling the story." "That just makes us want to hear it more," Caleb said. Jonas stared into the fire. "Fine. But don't laugh. People vanish in these woods. Hunters, hikers, even a few soldiers. Search teams find signs of struggle but no tracks leading away. It's as if the forest simply takes them." He exhaled, visibly uncomfortable. "My uncle disappeared when I was 13. The group fell silent. Even the fire seemed to crackle more quietly. "He knew every trail," Jonas continued. "But they only found his pack and his flashlight pointing upward into the trees." A chill rippled through the circle. Caleb tried to shake it off. "There's always an explanation. Animals, cliffs, maybe criminal activity." Jonas shook his head. "Maybe. But sometimes, the explanations are stranger." Before anyone could respond, a branch snapped somewhere in the darkness behind them. Everyone stood. Another snap. Heavy. Deliberate. Caleb signaled for silence as they aimed their lights into the trees. The beams barely penetrated the thick fog. Then something moved. Large. Slow. And then gone. Diana stepped slightly closer to Caleb. "Tell me that was a deer." "Zure," Caleb said, though even he didn't believe it. Sleep came in uneasy fragments. Caleb kept waking to the muffled sound of footsteps coming from the same direction every time. At 2:17 Uhr nachts, he sat up abruptly, thinking someone had whispered his name. No one else was awake. Or so he thought. Jonas crouched at the edge of camp, flashlight off, staring into the dark. "You hear it too?" Caleb whispered, walking up. Jonas nodded. "It's been circling us for the past hour." Caleb stiffened. "An animal." "No animal waits and watches like this." Before Caleb could respond, the sound came again. Soft, deliberate footsteps, circling the camp perimeter. Someone or something was walking around them. Caleb's pulse hammered. Jonas slowly raised his rifle. Whatever that is, it's not normal. The steps stopped. Then a new sound emerged, panting. Human panting. And it was close. Caleb spun toward the noise. "Who's there? Identify yourself." A shadow staggered forward, collapsing into the faint glow of their fire. It was a soldier, but not one of theirs. German uniform. Dirt smeared across his face. Eyes wild with terror. He gasped out a single word, Hilfe. Help. Then he passed out. The squad jolted awake to chaos. Diana checked the unconscious soldier's pulse, rapid and unstable. Identity, she asked Jonas. Jonas shook his head, his face pale. I don't know him. That didn't make sense. All units were accounted for during the joint training. The man stirred, eyes flickering open. It's still out there, he rasped. Don't let the trees fool you. It follows light and sound. Caleb leaned closer. What happened to your group? Silence stretched. The soldier began to shake uncontrollably. Tiere gone. All of them. The forest swallowed them. He grabbed Caleb's arm with surprising strength. You must leave before it chooses you. Caleb exchanged a tense look with Jonas. This was no ordinary disoriented soldier, this was someone who had seen something break his mindestens. Moments later, a distant howl echoed through the pines. Not a Wolf. Not anything familiar. A low, rolling sound that vibrated through the ground. The man's breathing quickened. It found me. Diana gasped as the fire suddenly sputtered, flickered, and went out, snuffed instantly, unnaturally. Darkness coated the camp like ink. Caleb's heart nearly stopped. Night vision on, he commanded. The green glow illuminated shapes of trees, bushes, and something large standing between the trunks. Too tall for a man. Too broad for any known animal, Jonas whispered in German under his breath, crossing himself. The figure shifted. Slow. Intentional. It was watching them. Back away, Caleb murmured. No sudden movements. But the terrified soldier on the ground began to scream. The shadow lunged. Chaos erupted. Flashlights jerked. Branches snapped. Something massive crashed through the undergrowth. Caleb grabbed the terrified soldier, hauling him away as the squad retreated blindly through the fog. Move! Move! Caleb shouted. The forest exploded with motion behind them, branches cracking, earth trembling under heavy steps. Jonas screamed, right. This way. They barreled through the darkness until they stumbled into a rocky clearing, out of breath and shaken. The shadow didn't follow. Not yet. Caleb set the injured soldier down gently. We need to call extraction. Diana tried the radio. No signal. So meetings blocking ET. Of course it was. The forest had swallowed that too. The stranger grabbed Caleb's sleeve again. You can't escape. It marks you. Once you hear it, it comes. That thing is not magic, Caleb snapped. There is a rational explanation. But inside, he wasn't so sure. As dawn tinted the sky a weak gray, they devised a plan, reach the old ranger station. Jonas remembered, a 2-hour trek if they kept moving. The forest felt quieter than before. Too quiet. Every so often, Caleb noticed the injured soldier glancing up into the tree canopy as if expecting something to drop down. Jonas walked beside Caleb. There are stories, he said softly. Old ones. My grandmother said something ancient guards this forest. It punishes those who enter with bad intentions. Caleb shook his head. Weary soldiers. Not poachers or criminals. Jonas hesitated. Maybe it does and see the difference. A branch cracked high above them. All 5 froze. Caleb scanned upward. Nothing. But the soldier whispered, it's following. The group quickened their pace. Challenges piled with every step, exhaustion from the sleepless night, the unstable ground slick with moss, the eerie feeling of being watched. The fog grew thicker, the air colder. Birds went silent. Then they reached a gorge. Jonas swore under his breath. This wasn't here yesterday. The path ahead had crumbled, a white gap cutting off their route. Can we cross? Caleb asked. Not safely, Jonas replied. VLL need to climb down and back up. It cost them precious time. As they began the descent, the injured soldier panicked. It comes with the wind. Listen! Wind howled through the gorge, sharp, violent, unnatural. Rocks tumbled. The shadow moved on the ridge above. Jonas shouted, "Hurry!" They scrambled upward, hearts pounding. Caleb pushed the terrified soldier ahead of him, every muscle burning. The moment they reached the top, something slammed into the trees just behind them, splintering wood like toothpicks. They didn't look back. By noon, they reached the abandoned ranger station, barely standing, with vines crawling up its walls and windows shattered. But it offered shelter. Inside, they barricaded the door. Diana tended to the injured soldier while Jonas tried to get a radio signal. Caleb stood watch at the broken window. The forest stared back. A low, distant rumble whispered through the trees. Fear nodded him, but he swallowed it. His squad needed a leader, not a man conquered by the dark. "How's the signal?" Caleb asked. "Still nothing," Jonas said, frustration in every word. "It's like something is jamming us." Diana added quietly, "His condition is worsening. If we don't get help, he won't make it." The soldier, trembling with fever, whispered, "It punishes fear, it punishes noise, it punishes those who take from the forest." Caleb knelt beside him. "We didn't take anything." The man only stared at him with hollow eyes. "You took the forest's peace." A heavy thud hit the roof, then another. Dust drifted down from the ceiling. Caleb rose slowly. Positions. A massive shadow slid across the skylight. The roof creaked, groaned, and then began to cave. "Out! Get outside!" Caleb yelled. They burst through the back door as the roof collapsed behind them. Wood splintered. The enormous shape landed inside the building with a ground-shaking thud. Jonas pointed. "This way!" Back toward the road. Together, they sprinted toward a clearing where trees thinned and sunlight pierced through for the first time all day. Behind them, the creature roared. Caleb realized then, this wasn't just a monster. It was the forest's fury. And it wanted them gone. They broke into the clearing just as a rescue helicopter appeared above the tree line, finally detecting their distress beacon. The shadow stopped at the forest edge, pacing like a prisoner bound by the sunlight. Caleb stared at it, breath shaking. Huge. Wrong. Terrifying. But as it melted back into the shade of the trees, he felt something unexpected, relief and respect. Some places weren't meant to be conquered. Some were meant to be honored. The team climbed aboard the helicopter. Diana held the injured soldier close as medics rushed to stabilize him. Caleb took one last look at the black forest, the fog curling around the trunks like ancient breath. Jonas murmured, "You understand now why we respect it." Caleb nodded. "Yeah. I Donnerstag." The forest wasn't evil. It was alive. And it protected itself. Final message. By the time the team reached safety, their fear had faded into something deeper, a sense of humility. They had survived something older than any uniform, any weapon, any nation. Something that reminded them that humans aren't rulers of the earth, only visitors. That night, Caleb wrote in his report. "Some terrors teach us fear. The forest taught us respect." And maybe, just maybe, that was the point. If you enjoyed this story, comment below and like,